specific. We're roasting the Super Bowl as an event. We can talk about that later. I don't want to get too
yes, because we'll have time to promote later.
So I'll be there, so maybe I'll come down early and actually see your set.
That'd be great.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
My weekend, if you care, I don't know about my weekend. I had a great weekend. My weekend was awesome. I went last night we went to my Gold Coast comedy tour, me, Riley Edwards, Connie Fernandez.
Oh, Riley. Okay.
Yeah. So our first tour date was last night. We drove to Cape Coral and performed at Ollie's Follies, which is a room run by Rab Russell. And it was great. We had a great time, great show. So, and just a fun road trip. We drove.
Yeah. Cape Coral's a little hit and miss. I've done some shows out there. Like, it's a very far right wing crowd. Like,
not at this place, man.
I'm just saying, like, every show I've gone out to there, it's been like 70% people that would storm the Capitol, and then.
Yeah. No, this was like it's a record shop / pub where a lot of craft beers. It was a really cool place. It's called Ollie.
Hipsters there.
It was. I mean, there were some older people, younger people. It was a nice blend. It was a nice mix. And this is a room that Rab has been building up for a few months now. He usually does open mics, and then once a month does a showcase where he'll bring in sometimes, like touring comedians and some of the better local comedians and whatnot. So it was a really good crowd, and they were not overly concerned. I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, this might be. But no, it was not a conservative crowd at all. Like they got an applause break. I got an applause break when I told them, my racist dog was a police dog.
Oh.
That's usually the gauge. Like, that's my temperature gauge. Like,
which direction do you need to go? Okay, we're gonna get more into comedy a little bit later. Let's get to who's to blame, guys. So this week, or last week, I guess it would be last Monday, Kellyanne Conway tweeted a nude photo of her daughter, Claudia, who is a minor. Who's to blame? Like,
nobody. That shit was super hot.
Oh, scared.
How old? I'm not. I heard about this, but I don't know. How old is the daughter?
16.
16. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And her daughter hates her, by the way.
And her daughter verified
pretty openly hates her online.
Yeah, openly hates her. Daughter verified that it was her. And basically, they've come full circle, right? At first, because the week before, like, the daughter was on Snapchat, basically acting like she is being abused at home. And so the police came and investigated, or the CPS, whoever. And then next thing you know, that Monday, the nude photos tweeted. So some people thought maybe it was like Kellyanne Conway, like first of all, why do you have a nude photo of your daughter, and then why?
Well, she said it in the article. She said, the daughter said that her mom would routinely go through her phone, and anything that she thought was scandalous or wrong or whatever, she would send to herself. So, and I saw, obviously.
Why would she do that though? Why would
obviously a blurred out version of the photo got leaked. But it's a standard. It's a standard. I'm gonna send this to my boyfriend topless pic, right? Like every girl has done it. Every girl will do it at some point. It's not the point. The point is the fact that her mother took that photo specifically to use it if she needed to. That's so fucked up, man.
Yeah. Like, what kind of parenting? Like, because. So it did get posted, but accidentally. Everyone believes it's accidentally, even Claudia. Is it because she's old that doesn't fucking know what she's doing with her phone?
No.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Is it a full nude or is it just topless?
No, it's just a topless. But it doesn't matter. It's a 16-year-old girl, man.
Not with that, all that notwithstanding, I think it does make a difference because, well, I don't know what state laws are in which states, but like 16 is the age of consent, depending on where you live and who you're with. You know what I mean? Yeah. So this
in
could
Florida,
be who's having
right here in the state that we live in. If you have parents' consent, 16 is the age of consent.
And in some cases, that might not. And depending on the age of the guy, like if he's.
But it's different when publishing.
she may be having legal consensual sex with a guy and sending topless pics. Topless also is another thing that is not illegal everywhere. Topless is very legal in a lot of places. Not bottomless, but topless is like you can show your boobs on.
If we're going to go on semantics, then yes, I believe that Americans are very prudish, and we're taught that our naked body equals sexuality. Where in places in most European countries, there's a difference between nudity and sexuality. Nudity is nothing to be ashamed of, but sexuality is.
I'd love to let you guys go on, but the point is, why the fuck is mom tweeting this photo?
Now, that's the point. That's where we're getting to. Because this is just retribution. That's all it is.
So clearly, mom, that was kind of my point, though, is like, if this was some European country, this is a non-story. This is like nobody cares at all if this happens in some place in Europe.
A little bit.
I think the angle of like mom being vengeful towards daughter,
I mean, I'll tell you who I blame, though. You want to know who I blame? I blame Snapchat. That's who I blame. That's like, that is who is really to blame. They've created this culture where, definitely, I blame Snapchat because mom's not even getting access to that photo without Snapchat being the thing.
No, she got access to it because she took her daughter's phone and sent those photos to her own phone, then got them uploaded. See, that's the thing was in the confession, at least in the confession that I read, right, on Twitter, it was, the daughter says, my mom takes my phone all the time, goes through it, finds anything that she wants, and then sends it to herself to hold on to.
Does mom pay for the phone?
Like, well, because, again, because her mom and her fight openly on Twitter for everyone to see, because I don't know if you know this, but Kellyanne Conway and her husband, Mr. George Conway, they don't really agree on anything. Like, he hates Trump, she fights for him. And the daughter took the father's side. So it really seems like a lot of in-family fighting that just, I mean, come on, you're telling me that you accidentally posted a fucking nude photo of your daughter? You know, I've got multiple dick pics on my phone. You know how many have accidentally ever posted? None. And I'm proud of my dick, but I still wouldn't post it accidentally. And I get drunk all the time. So, like, you can't tell me you accidentally did it. Like, that's ridiculous. That's
you think she intentionally did it just to be vengeful?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Roseanne. Roseanne says she posted that racist shit. Oh, because I was on Ambien. Get the fuck out of here with your stupid excuses.
I'm only
just apologize for your ass.
Right? Like, I'm only racist when I'm drunk.
Well, I think Twitter should ban her, and I think QAnon followers should go after this bitch because she's posting child pornography now.
Well,
okay, so on to the next.
Okay, all right.
Trust the plan, Q. Trust the plan.
Okay, so we also found out this week that the stock market is unfair. Who's to blame?
Wall Street can go fuck itself, all right? Because the people finally stood up and said, hey, we can do this too, okay? Because if there's 5,000 of us putting $1,000 each into buying this stock, we can fuck your world up. And you need to remember that before the next 2008 happens and you destroy our fucking housing market. Out of your greed and your need for more and more and more and 2% growth over every fucking year. No, fuck Wall Street. I'm glad they got hosed. I'm glad. Oh my God.
I take it you blame Wall Street. You blame Wall Street now.
Oh yeah.
Goddamn right I do. I blame greed. They've been saying it for 30 years that greed is good. And they've been taking and taking and taking. Well, guess what? Now it's time for your ass to stand at the back of the line and see how you like it.
Tell him, Terry. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm finna say it.
I'm with Terry, but I'm just waiting for so this is the first version, the first thing that happened in the story. I'm waiting for one of those really heartwarming stories to come out relating to this, where some Wall Street guys kill themselves over the loss of their hedge fund. That's the one that I really want. That's so sweet,
It's happened before.
Yeah.
Black Friday.
Jump off a bridge. You lost all your money. You're an asshole. You know,
Yeah.
nobody wants you here.
The stock market being unfair is not GameStop's fault. It's not Reddit's fault. It is.
Well, it's obviously not.
No, it's capitalism. The stock market makes no fucking sense.
No,
Listen, you can be doing well in the stock
Gio.
market and not actually in reality. So that makes
Gio, you hit the nail on the head. It's capitalism, all right? And guess what? When you overwhelm the underpopulation, you know, the bottom level of that pyramid that holds you up so high, when you overwhelm this so much, the serfs are going to rise up eventually. So I don't want to hear it when your hedge fund, your $1 billion hedge fund goes bankrupt. Well, oops. Maybe you shouldn't have been a fucking asshole. I'm sorry.
You know,
so we gotta. Okay, I was just gonna read
the real tragedy of it. There is a real tragedy. Before we move on, there is a real tragedy to this. And the hedge funds aren't made up of just stockbrokers or billionaires. They're made up of people's 401ks. They're made up of people's retirement plans. And real people are going to get hurt again, because I guarantee you, at the end of this. Right now, they're trying to prosecute people on fucking Reddit for buying a stock because they were online that they should.
Are they really?
Which is they are. They're going to try and prosecute them for buying a stock. Get the fuck out of here. They're playing your own game, but you just never planned on regular people doing the same thing that you did. You're a hedge fund. You can buy 100 million shares of a stock and increase the price of the stock by over 70% in one day. You know, but now you got a group on Reddit that's going to try and do the same fucking thing, and you're trying to prosecute them for it. It's ridiculous.
I just want to pop in and give some of the people in the chat some love. Misty Sky Perry says that it's karma, plain and simple. And then Gonzo says double fuck Wall Street. He's with you, Terry. Nick,
but they're not the ones that are going to get hurt. It's the people that work at fucking UPS. And it's the people that work for normal, you know, Bank of America. It's their 401ks that are getting played in the stock market by these fucking douchebags.
That's why we should have security. Let's see what Nick thinks.
What, who's to blame for this? I mean, obviously Wall Street's to blame. I've been saying for a long time, though, that, you know, like modern stock market, the way things are going with the increasing. All right. So shareholders in major corporations that do not pay their employees well, that don't give their employees health benefits. Well, if you're driving your stocks up and improving your company, like the profit margins of your company are astronomical, but you're not taking care of the people properly. And the housing market, which is controlled by the exact same people who control stocks. If all that's getting jacked up, we're backtracking towards slavery, essentially. You know, like sooner or later, there's plenty of people who don't make enough money working full time to pay for their living expenses, and they're off of that system.
You know, Gio, you know, I switched over to a new cup for this year, but specifically for this particular story, I have switched back to the old one, right? Because I just want to give a big sip to Wall Street, right? That's all I want to do, because let me tell you something. Nick's absolutely right. You have to take care of the base. If you don't, your whole system collapses. That's the way our economic system works. If the bottom stops spending, guess what happens? The whole thing collapses. If tomorrow everyone who makes less than $100,000 a year decided not to go to work for a week, our entire country would be over. And that's the thing is, and they could have stayed at the top. They could have stayed in the top 1%. They could have stayed in the top 10% and kept their lifestyle going. But you know what drove them to the end? You know what drove people to class warfare? It's the arrogance of it. It's the, I deserve to be here and you don't.
The fact that they're fucking outraged about this stuff and
shut down all that. And that's why I love this GameStop shit, because they finally stood up. The serfs stood up to the royals and says, we're just as good as you are. And when we band together, we're a mightier force than you are. Yeah. So I love the fact that they stood up to him. I hope it doesn't continue, because it will destroy the stock market if it keeps going. Like it'll ruin the whole thing, and our whole economic system will collapse.
Y'all have stocks?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the stock market falling. I'm okay with everybody having to earn their
No,
money.
you don't want
Yeah,
that. You don't
I
want
am.
that. It's
I
chaos.
really am. I do mean that. I am, because you know what? If everybody had to earn their dollars, that'd be okay. I'm not saying people who start businesses, have great ideas, don't deserve to be rich, but it's gone too far. There has to be a correction
for about 10 years.
We all deserve to be rich. That's my policy. I'm just gonna pop into the chat again and read a couple.
No, we all deserve to be happy. Not
That's
rich.
right.
Says she's hoping her pension wasn't depending on short selling GameStop stock. And okay, her and Rich and
well, there's a few billion bet on it.
So. But just to add on to this story, we got Congress involved because the Robinhood app actually shut down access, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez jumped in and was like, this isn't right. And Ted Cruz had the nerve to fucking jump in and be like, oh yeah, it's not right.
He agreed with her. Hey, don't.
This leads me to my next blame, guys. You cannot be bipartisan with everyone. You can't. Who's to blame?
Look, Ted Cruz agreed with AOC. That was the point. He agreed with her that, Robinhood can't just tell people they can't trade this stock anymore because hedge funds are losing their ass off. Well, guess what? You play the stock market, it's a casino. That's all it is. We can dress it up all we want to. We can tell each other that, oh, this is an essential part of our economy. Yeah, fuck that. It's a casino. And the thing is, Ted Cruz agreed with her, but she still gave him a big fuck you because she's like, you tried to have me murdered 3 weeks ago. The best thing you can do is resign. And she's right.
I don't think it's just Ted Cruz, though. What do you think, Nick?
All right. So I think there's two sides to that the whole interaction between AOC and Ted Cruz. So on the one hand, what her saying what they were doing was wrong is absolutely right. Terry, you're right. It is a casino. That's my point. Let it fucking collapse. It's just a casino. Who cares if a casino loses? It's right. If you're playing in the casino and you lose everything you have, guess what? There's nobody to bail you out of that shit. All right. And that's basically what the stock market is meant to be. It's meant to be a casino. Right now, they're treating it like it's a rigged casino that they own and they can make the bets however they want them to be. So yes, that's what I say. Let that shit all fail. I don't care. I don't care about. 401ks may have to be sacrificed.
You know what? Should care.
Worse things have happened. Worse things are happening within our economy than people losing their 401ks. There are people going hungry. All right. But as far as the AOC Ted Cruz thing, I see kind of the other side of it. It's like you know the term the friend of your friend. The friend of your enemy is your enemy. Is that the right? What's the exact phrasing?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The friend of
enemy of your enemy is your friend. Okay. Right. And if Ted Cruz, regardless of whether or not he is her enemy in general, he is still a political player and a political power player. And if he wants to get on board and help her cause that she's trying to back up with this whole, problem with the Robinhood trading app or whatever, she should take his help now while she can, and then tell him to go fuck himself later on, or just. I'm just saying.
Hey, if I tried to have you, if I tried to have you murdered, we wouldn't be doing a show next week.
They tried to kill that woman, and this is my favorite quote from her. She added, "You haven't even apologized for the serious physical and mental harm you contributed from the Capitol Police and custodial working your own fellow Congress members. In the meantime, you can get off my timeline and stop clout chasing." She said, "Stop clout chasing." That cracked me up.
And not only that, but she's
happy to work with other members of the GOP, just not this motherfucker who tried to have her killed.
And Jessica, listen, Nick, I would love nothing more than to make the stock market de-exist, but unfortunately it does, and it is a column of our economic system that cannot fail. If it fails, then we all fail. So, I would love nothing more than to de-invent it. But now that it's here, it's something we lean on. And if we lose it, we're going to fall over.
Harry is still defending the stock market.
I understand what you're saying about.
I have stocks. I have a portfolio.
And I'm not saying the entire stock market isn't going to collapse, but these hedge funds can collapse, and that's okay because that's part of what the stock market is.
It's a large part. It's a large part. Yeah.
Right. It's exactly what I'm saying. So I'm not saying the stock market will never collapse. There will always be stocks and values and whatnot.
That's fair enough. I see what you're saying now. You're just saying that these large groups that control the stock market, they need to go away. Yeah, I totally agree. There is no such thing as too big to fail, in my opinion.
If you go pour off the stock market, just fucking pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Well,
exactly. That's exactly right.
So part of the problem with I don't have a problem with the stock market. Essentially, I understand that companies want to profit, but what we need is better labor laws. What we need is better healthcare laws. What we need is more regulations on the companies that are just, their profits are going through the roof and their employees are on welfare. It's like, that's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how our system is supposed to work, and it won't work.
You can't even blame the companies. It's not the companies. No. When you think about it, it's the person at the top, right? They have a job to do just like everybody has a job to do. And their job is to increase growth and their stock price by 2% every year. That's it. Regardless of what happens. It's kind of like, you ever seen Goodfellas?
Yeah.
When Paulie goes in and partners with the restaurant. Yeah. Oh, place got struck by lightning. Fuck you. Pay me. Oh, you had a fire. Fuck you. Pay me. Place got shot up by goons. Fuck you. Pay me. That's the same thing that these execs have. And it's, did you get my 2% this year? Because if not, you're out the goddamn door, the boot in the ass. That's it. We put so much pressure on these people that they will lay off people by the tens of thousands that they have to. They will manipulate the stock market if they have to, but they're just trying to save their own goddamn job. Yeah, we all have to be less greedy on a individual level.
That's on our government. Our government needs to regulate the system, because the system's it's gonna run wild no matter, like, if you deregulate it, or if you don't have regulations in place. I don't blame the people. They're, like you said, they're doing their jobs.
Right.
We need to have a system.
One of my favorite things that was proposed, like, if we're gonna keep the stock market, I think it was Bernie Sanders, my boo. I think if you're gonna let them gamble like this, make them pay that tax and pay for everybody's fucking education.
100%. But what they do is they get.
But instead, wait, let me tell you what they do with their wealth instead. Like, the public heiress, she financially supported the insurrection and the illegal attempt to overturn the election. That's what these stockholders are doing with their money. Who's to blame?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the fucking campaign managers and the marketing people that, again, are only doing their job, but it's got people in rural America supporting, like, abolishing the death tax, as they call it, which is the estate tax. Yeah. It doesn't apply to 99.86% of the people in this country.
The estate tax doesn't even kick into
0.14%. 0.14% of the population. And yet you got farmers out there marching and saying, "Oh yeah, no, we got to get rid of it." No, they're just
passing on 1.5 million. It doesn't matter.
No, they're using you. No, it's not even that. You can give $5 million per parent to your children tax free. That's $10 million per child. That's plenty enough for your kid. That's plenty enough for your kid to grow up and be a spoiled piece of shit. Like, it's plenty enough to ruin your child's life. Why are people fighting for this when they're poor and you're rich? But that's what the GOP has done. They have figured out how to get the poor to fight for the rich. It's great.
So you went off about the poor, but this public heiress did this. So you think she's doing it to preserve estate taxes? What about you, Nick?
I blame. I blame the party involved, but I see another angle, and that is the education angle. The education has notoriously been imbalanced based on wealth inequality. So, but the way that they're manipulating these people, like Terry's talking about, is because they're uneducated, because they have a poor education system. And the system isn't designed to give a good education to poor people. They don't want educated poor people, because educated poor people do shit like the GameStop thing. I mean, that's what happens when you get educated poor people. They fuck with the rich people, and they do not.
Hey, perfect. Just to go on, Nick, you're absolutely right. Remember when back in the dark ages when the royals were trying to keep the serfs from movable type. They were like, oh, if they learn how to read, it's going to be the end of us, because then they're going to be smart. And there you go.
Yeah.
Like that's what they literally tried to keep people from being literate because they wanted to rule them.
Yep.
But we're talking about the rich. Why?
Yeah, it's the same thing. If you make people smart, they're going to take your money.
She's educated. She didn't like support the insurrection and shit because she is uneducated. She did it because to preserve her own interests.
Oh yeah.
She did it to feed the fire.
It's our fault for fucking shopping there and increasing their goddamn stock and giving her more money to donate $300,000 to the fucking presidential election, $10,000 to the local elections all throughout the country. It's our fault.
It is, that's another thing that I've been trying to talk to people about is don't support, like you have a problem with Jeff Bezos, stop buying Amazon shit. Like don't shop on Amazon unless you absolutely have to. If you can buy I get really high-end dog food, but I found a little mom and pop kind of place in my town. I have to drive 10 minutes to get it, but it's actually less expensive than it is on Amazon, and I'm supporting a local business. And there's so many people who have just gotten so used to being lazy. And I know the pandemic has made it even more of a thing, but if you can plan your days, plan your weeks, do your shopping if possible, not through Amazon, not on Amazon, because we are partially to blame. It's like in that situation.
Mom and pops would fix, but it would definitely help our economy.
Listen, Walmart didn't become Walmart because nobody shopped there.
It became Walmart because we're lazy.
Because we all shop there.
We're lazy, and Jeff Bezos capitalized on that even more.
But that's not my. Go ahead, Nick.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
One of the thoughts that I was going along those lines was, it's, I'm trying to remember how I phrase it.
All right, I'll give you a second. I'll go.
You talk. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Okay, Terry.
No, listen.
I want to mansplain to you.
I got no problem with Jeff Bezos being the first trillionaire on the planet. I got no problem with that whatsoever. No problem. What I do have a problem with is when our government allows that the plutocracy is what it's called, when it's allowed to, some businesses are so powerful and so monetarily powerful that they can inhibit other people from growing up. You know what I mean? It's like I'm from the South, right? And we got this vine in the South called the kudzu vine, right? Came over back in the 1920s, and they started planting it because, hey, that's just what happened. Shit came over from Asia, and they started planting it. But the problem is the kudzu vine grows over all the other foliage, including trees, bushes, grass, whatever. It grows over the top of them, and it prevents them from growing, and it kills everything else in the process. And that's exactly what our economy is being right now, is you have your Jeff Bezos, you have your Waltons, you have your, say Donald Trumps that are getting into power. They're growing over everything else. And now nothing else can come out of the ground, because as soon as they do, they snuff them out and they cut them off from the sunshine.
What is it called? It's called, help me out, guys.
Plutocracy.
No, it sounds like a virus or they latch on the host and then they.
Yeah, it's a virus.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the funny thing about a virus. A virus either kills the host or the host kills the virus. It doesn't end any other way.
There's no win-win situation.
If we want to have an economy where people can think that they can be successthing, at least believe
Parasite. It. Gonzo hit me up. Parasite.
Oh, Parasite.
Yeah.
Same thing. Same thing. Parasite virus.
You know what? I think it's time to get to know our guests a little bit better. What about you, Terry?
Me too. I need to decompress because you got me in my feels. Right,
let me just finish my thought on what Terry's going, because that is what I was.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
If you don't shop locally, someday you won't be able to. And then the price gouging you'll start to see it in a major way, because as soon as you can't buy a product locally, then you're going to be paying through the nose. And that's something we're already starting to see.
There's a term for that.
The problem with the small business versus big corporation is the tax structure is backwards, right? The way that we tax corporations is how we should be taxing small businesses. Like, they shouldn't even have to pay taxes for the first couple of years. Like, they should, until you reach a certain level, small businesses should get all the tax breaks that big corporations are getting, and big corporations should be getting taxed the way that small businesses are.
Well, just listen, in all fairness, being a person that started several small businesses, you do get a 5-year leniency on that.
Yeah,
and you do get a lot of tax breaks as a small business when you first start. I've gotten them several times.
Burden. That's not
You're right in the fact that there are too many loopholes that allow companies like Amazon and GE to pay zero taxes after they make billions of dollars. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I mean, you're right on that, but small businesses do get a lot of leeway.
We get some leeway, but not the same that the big corp. Like, you should be able to pay zero taxes as a small business, because you're essentially providing a community service up until you reach a certain point of profitability.
I just want to say,
providing community service.
You're right, but we do get the break. Like, this is all new to me, because I just started a small business about 3 years ago, and I have not had to. My business has not had to pay taxes, but I do. You know,
you still do, right? And that's
individually for my income. So
that's another.
Look, I think we can all agree that our tax code is all fucked up.
It's all fucked up. It's backwards.
If a guy like Donald Trump can pay $750 in taxes, and a company like Amazon can pay zero, and a company like GE can pay zero after making $1 billion of profits, I mean, obviously it's fucked up, and the loopholes just need to be closed.
Right.
Because right now, the small businesses, I've had 4 in my life, and they've all gotten leniency, especially like you said in the beginning, and they know it. They do the same reason for what you're saying, Nick. Like, they want you to get on your feet. They want you to make real money, and then they'll come after you.
And then they get you. Yeah, exactly.
But exactly. But they do give you leniency, and they let you get on your feet first. Because
I'd like to see more leniency, and even for bigger small businesses,
and
individuals as well. Like, that's really where it's really imbalanced.
We're gonna wrap up the political discussion. One last comment from the Facebook. Misty says, absolutely, based on net profits, taxing the rich would completely put the nation back in black in a decade or less. Disney wants to be taxed. Disney.
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot to get us back in the black. We're trillions of dollars in debt.
All right, so Nick.
Yes.
Guys, our guest, he is he's the host of the Fantasy TE podcast. He hosts Blue Jean, that's like a tongue twister. Blue Jeans Blues, a showcase. And then he also hosts open mic at Awana Kava, another tongue
great
twister.
Show. Go out and hit that show up.
And he's an actor, comedian. Welcome, Nick Macik.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is great. I'm having a ton of fun with you guys. This is I definitely want to come back. I love the format of this podcast.
I just like talking shit.
Yeah, me too.
Like calling people. I don't know if you've noticed that, but anyway, this is about Nick. It's time for Nick. We've had some requests, in the communications. Let's talk to our guests. So,
all right,
Nick, how long have you been doing comedy?
I've been doing comedy for about 4 years now. I first started when I still lived in Key West. I started with Comedy Key West, which is my buddy Joe Madaus. It's his baby. He really just created the comedy scene in Key West out of nothing.
Joe Madaus,
Comedy Key West. If you guys don't know him already, check him out. And they started in a like his girlfriend's yoga studio. I think it was the first show.
That's where he was doing shows.
There are worse place to do a show than fucking yoga studio.
Right. It wasn't during a class.
If you're single, it's a pretty good spot. I'm just saying.
This was not during the classes, okay?
All right.
But no, so Joe had done comedy up in Boston, and he was a buddy of mine that I worked with in the charter boat business in Key West. And so he just created Comedy Key West, started producing shows, and they've built it up now to the point where they actually have their own venue. They previously, when I was down there, they were partnered with another venue, but now they just recently acquired and opened their own space. They bring down nationally touring headliners from all over the country. They do.
I bet that's a good. I mean, Key West is such a tourist spot. I bet it's.
It is. So when I first started comedy, they did 2 shows a week. There were no open mics, and that was all we had. So basically the locals got to do 5-minute guest spots to open up for these nationally touring headliners. And we were doing it in front of like 70, 80, 90 people. So my first set ever, Joe was pushing me into it for a while because I was telling jokes on the boats as a captain, and I was I was emceeing a weekly concierge event at a hotel for my company. So I was already kind of, doing a lot of that.
Comedy. Yeah, I've been on like the tours, and sometimes they'll be like really funny people, and you're like, oh, they sound like a comedian.
Right. Yeah. So I already sounded like a comedian, kind of. I was doing crowd work, and I was telling jokes on the boats and stuff like that. And Joe's like, you need to do this. So he had been doing the shows for about a year before he actually managed to push me into it. But my first show was like in front of 90 people at a packed showcase in front of a touring headliner.
I was gonna say, good for you. Like that sounds like a great show to be on.
It sounds like it's the perfect mix because you like, like, look here, you can be with this nationally touring headliner.
Yeah. It was so fun.
My first show was 30 people at the Funky Buddha in a rainy day on Wednesday. Like it's just nothing.
Yeah, it was definitely a very different way to start comedy than the people in South Florida. Like everybody else that I know up here, it's like we started just doing open mics. And so anyway, I've been up here for 2.5 years now, and I love it. Like it's tons of fun. I've started Gold Coast Comedy, which was something that Joe encouraged me to do when I first moved up here, to brand myself for when I can and would start producing comedy shows. And actually our logos are similar because we always had the idea of partnering in some ventures in some way, shape, or form. But the Blue Jean Blues show has been really a big hit. It's a really fun show. I'm going to try to get you guys both on it in the next couple months. What I've been doing with Blue Jean Blues so that's a music venue, and I managed to, through one of the short films that I was working on, we used it as a set. Like I scouted it as a set location for us. When we shot the film there, I started talking to him about doing a comedy show. Same thing with my other venues. So the acting has kind of, as I've been trying to, work at and build up my acting career, it's helped with the comedy because that's how I've landed a couple of these venues.
Right.
So, but the Blue Jean Blues show is so fun because the format of the show, it's 2 hours and it's 10 comics doing 10 minutes each. So everybody does the same amount of time. Nice. And it's everybody's, I only book comics who have a quality 10 minutes and can do well. Everybody gets paid the same. It's a pretty modest budget, but we've been getting a lot of tips. So
that's pretty dramatic of what you're talking about. You're actually going to do a comedy show that's merit based.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Whoa. Take it easy now.
Yeah,
You're actually going to do a comedy show based on what you have to say instead of who you know.
Yep.
It's flying in the face of Hollywood, my friend.
I know. It's revolutionary, but you know what? The response has been phenomenal. And I'm coming up on my 6th show, I think. In February is going to be my 6th show. And I haven't repeated any of the comics. I've been bringing comics up from Miami, down from West Palm, and everything in between. And I've even had guys start to come over from the Gulf Coast who want to be on this show. And it's like I said, the base pay is not a lot, but everybody gets a free drink, and we do tips at the end. And the crowd's been very generous because it's a free show. So we've been making a lot of money and a pretty good amount of money in tips.
But I mean, the Gulf Coast in Orlando and South Florida, we're all basically the same comedy scene. Mm-hmm. Like a couple of years ago, it was me and Ridiculous that were organizing a group of comics to go up to Cam Miller's show in Orlando. Like we're all we're not close to each other. We're hours away, but we're hours away. So we kind of just make it work, you know?
Right. We're only hours away. Exactly. And
exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with the show, aside from, providing really good entertainment for the people. I've had people come to every single show, and they keep coming back because we're not repeating comics. Like
That's awesome.
It's different.
Awesome. You got people that come to every single show. That's really
cool. And it's because it's different every month. We haven't been repeating people, and everybody's good. Everybody's bringing their A game too. Like you've got on the high end, obviously there's some comics who are like local headliners who are willing to do, on a Thursday night, a shorter set. And, a lot of times I'm having those guys close the show out. And then on the low end, you've got up and coming comics who are just barely getting to their 10 minutes to having a 10-minute set. But everybody's bringing their A game. Everybody's doing their best 10 minutes. And so the crowd, being that it's a bar crowd, they don't get bored. They don't get tired of one. It's like every comic is different. The style changes. But
that's a great philosophy though. Because if you got 10 minutes in the can, right, that is fantastic, as opposed to 35 minutes or 45 minutes as a headliner where you got ups and downs. Like, really, which one of those is better? Like, is it better to have 10 minutes of awesome food or 40 minutes of okay?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Gonzo says it's a great spot. Speaking of great spots, I kind of want to move it along here. What is your favorite venue you've performed at?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Don't say the Improv. You're not allowed.
I've never performed at the Improv.
Good.
I have never performed at either of the improvs. I live an hour from each improv. The Palm Beach Improv and the Miami Improv are both an hour away. I've only lived here for 2.5 years, and they have yet to call me and book me. So
I'm just.
Oh, okay. You're not doing the new faces.
Okay, you can do the new faces. You can do the open mics.
No, that's not it's not an open mic when you have to bring 10 people. I don't know 10 people in Miami or in West Palm Beach, and there is no improv where I live.
Come on, you can get 10 people out there. You know you could.
You think I can get 10? I can't get 10 people.
Okay, first of all, let me just break the code of silence. You don't have to have 10 people, all right? You just have to be good.
No, you do. Last time I went,
no, you don't. No.
You
can say that all you want to. I used to run the new faces.
I've
time. You don't have to have 10 people. If
I have reached
4 people and you're good, you're getting on. Period. End of story.
Nobody's been trying to put me on the new faces, and I'm not about to. I've been told, hey, you can go bark tickets, but a couple months ago, I got booked to headline the Red Light at Monroe's, and it was a really good show. It was, I'm doing 35 minutes, and it was great. Like they've already, booked me again for another show. If I can get 10 people to come to a show in West Palm Beach, I'm gonna get them to come to the show that I'm headlining. Like that's the bottom line. I'm getting the one that I'm saying.
Look, I've seen it come and go, man.
You should do it just to do it. Like
I will do it just to do it, but I'm not going to go bark tickets and try to get everybody.
Well, then take
I bark tickets. I don't care. I bark tickets for my first couple of years.
You guys listen.
I went out there and hustled tickets for my first couple of years. Right.
That's great.
I did it at the Fort Lauderdale Improv. I did it at the Miami Improv. I did it at the West Palm Beach Improv. I'm just saying, if
Terry,
you're
stop mansplaining to Nick. Stop.
Here, listen.
I'm not. I'm just saying, if you're good and people like you, you're getting a spot. That's
if I'm good and people like me, they'll call me to book me. I did my time. You're saying my first couple of years, I barked tickets. I barked tickets when I was in Key West. I did my time. I put my time in. It wasn't here. It was somewhere else. But I'm not a new face. I'm not a brand new comic. I'm not going to go beg for 5 minutes somewhere when I'm getting booked all over the state of Florida now. So
it just sounds like a lot of humility to me.
I'm telling you the reality of the situation.
Right, but regardless, nonetheless,
I'm almost 10 years in.
Terry,
I'm almost 10 years in.
I want to know
what ticket for a good audience.
That's cool, but I'm gonna bark tickets for my own show. I'm gonna bark tickets. I'm doing Hyperion Brewing in Jacksonville. That's the one I'm trying to get people to come out for.
What's your favorite room? That's what I asked, and
my favorite room is Comedy Key West, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Comedy Key West paid everybody from the first show. I got paid for my guest spots right out of the gate, and I worked so hard for them. I was writing 15 hours a week. I was practicing at home. I was getting these sets polished because I knew it was a good show, and they paid us right out of the gate. And if you were good enough, you got on more shows. They didn't, it wasn't based on how many people you could bring, because they do their own marketing. And let me tell you something. We have a group going down to Key West the end of this month. I'm partnering with Comedy Key West finally for the first time since I've been up here. I'm bringing some local comics from the South Florida scene down to perform at Comedy Key West on Sunday, February 28th. I'm bringing Jackie Sanchez, Steve Lamb, and Nadeem Awad. We're calling it the Gold Coast Comedy All-Stars. We're going down there. We're going to do a Sunday night show. And this is an opportunity that people in South Florida, comics in South Florida, don't have this opportunity as of right now, because you can't get booked on Comedy Key West. Like, they only book nationally touring headliners, or you can go down and do a guest spot for 5 minutes. That's fine. But they don't have feature spots. They're not trying to bring in locals as of right now, because that's just the format of their show, and they're successful with it. So I'm trying to create an opportunity with them to bring down some of our better comics, some of the, the best comics in South Florida, so we can break into that venue. And it's
funny that you mentioned those names, because those names, every single one of them brought less than 10 people, and I still put them on. like are you running the new faces still?
No,
I used to.
Well,
maybe back in the day. I'm just saying, I used to. Like, it's not
listen, I very much want to perform at the Palm Beach Improv.
You should. It's a great room. Look, the improvs are always a great room.
Hold on a minute. I very much want to perform at both improvs, the Palm Beach Improv and the Miami Improv. And when they call, I will go. And I'm super excited for when I have that opportunity. But in the meantime, I have my own shows to book. I've started a tour. We're going all over the state of Florida. Like I've actually slowed down on trying to find venues for us, because we're booked at so many different shows in the next couple months.
You know what? That validates you. Like, you don't need the improv to.
It's not that I don't need. I want to perform there, and when they think I'm worth it, when I've earned that spot, and
you have to get in front of Renee. That's the whole thing. Like, you got to get in front of Renee. Like,
it's okay. Listen, I'm not sweating it. I'm not sweating it, because I'm getting exposure in all kinds of markets all over Florida, and
you'll get there one way or another.
No, he's doing it the right way. You're doing it the wrong way. You're saying you need to perform in front of Renee, which hopefully we all know who she is. There shouldn't be a king or a queen on top of personal expression. All right. There shouldn't be a king or a queen on top of
that. I've heard stories about how Larry the Cable Guy started here, and he made it out without Renee. So I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, like,
I'm just saying, like, you can't
be paid. You are supposed to.
No, you're creating your own mountain. You're creating your own mountain that you have to climb. Yeah. Nick's doing it the right way. He's going about it his own way. He's blazing his own. He's blazing his own path.
Being paid fairly for your labor.
The path of others. That's the best way to go about it. He's blazing his own path.
You're right, but at the same time, I have taken inspiration from some of the other comics that I've seen in the way that they're successfully marketing themselves. And it is a different path, but it's the path that's open to me, because I didn't grow up here. I don't have like a lot of family or friends who live here. Most of the people I know are comedians, and outside of comics, it's mostly in Broward County, where there is no longer an improv, or any big comedy club for that matter. So I've seen what's worked for some of the guys who came up here ahead of me. Specifically, Nadeem has been very supportive and helpful in terms of, pointing me in the right direction of like how to start this tour, who to contact. Anna Lepley's another contact for some of these other rooms outside of South Florida where we can start branching out, doing longer sets, doing bigger shows, and putting ourselves in the forefront of the showcase,
It's not even that. You're creating a brand for yourself. You're moving outside this market, which is fantastic, because again, if you stay inside this market, there is a hierarchy to this market where eventually you're always going to have to grovel to somebody else. So why bother? Why do that? Why not just move outside this market, which is what you're doing? And that's what I'm saying. Like, you're blazing your own path. You're not going along the standard, do this, do that, do this, grovel to this person, and then you'll get there.
Yeah.
Definitely. You definitely given just wildly different answers from anyone else.
Well, but I came up differently than everyone else. I came up with Comedy Key West. I didn't come up in South Florida comedy. I was already, I'd already established myself as a comedian, and I've proved a lot here. I've grown so much.
It's actually, it kind of leads into the blame game, because I know you have a blame for him.
No, we're not time for the blame game.
It's 7:53.
I know it is. That's why I was trying to move things along. But
I know, but
wait, let me run the show. It's Blame Girl Podcast with Terry.
All right.
So anyway, Nick, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, who are you? You came from Key West. Are you from Florida?
No, this is not my natural habitat. I'm from Vermont.
Florida man, then.
I'm from Vermont originally. I lived there till I was about 25. I lived in Lake Tahoe. I lived in Hawaii.
So you're from Vermont. Are you gay? Just
I'm
say
not.
it right
I'm
now.
not actually.
You have a girlfriend. Like, shut up, Peter.
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Well, he's from Vermont.
So I don't get offended by that question because I'm from Vermont. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm proud of being from the first state that legalized gay marriage. I think it's great.
Who is your favorite senator?
That's right.
My favorite who? What?
Senator.
My favorite senator? It's Bernie Sanders, of course.
There you go.
Bernie was, when I was a kid. Democratic socialist, by the way.
I agree.
I'm not a socialist. I'm a democratic socialist. No, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, like the city that was like the closest city to us, like Bernie was the mayor. Like, I remember when Mayor Bernie Sanders, he was a long
time ago.
It was a long time ago, but he is still that same like normal guy. Like, people see him at the grocery store.
That Gonzo says we need. Gonzo was in the chat talking about we need a statesman. Yes, that is Bernie Sanders. That
is the guy.
I won't even go.
I just want to say one other. So one of my own personal philosophies when it comes to like just the way that I have been approaching like stand-up comedy and everything, honestly, not just comedy, but I'm trying to get into acting. I'm hopefully going to sign with a talent agency. Nadim's helping me with that as well. Hopefully in the next month or so. But I have been working at acting, both, treating it like open mics. Like, I do free stuff, some stuff that's unpaid, just like you do an open mic, just to learn and build my skill and whatnot. But the philosophy, my whole philosophy towards acting, towards stand-up and towards podcasts as well, because I started a podcast this year, is that if you're more worried about getting booked than you are about getting better, you're doing it wrong. Like, I'm not saying don't worry about getting booked, because you should be trying to get booked and putting yourself out there. And I think that's an important aspect of it, but you should be putting more time and effort into improving your skill and your art form than you do about, because that's what it's really all about for me personally.
Well,
I love
what's better.
Nick just
what's better?
Better. More.
No, I'm saying what's better? Is it better to be true to yourself, or is it better to appease the audience? Like, because dumb comedy makes people laugh. Jeff Dunham sells out stadiums, and Dane Cook is famous. So what's important? Is it important to stand on your principles and do comedy on things you believe, or is it more important just to make the audience laugh?
I think so. If making the audience laugh was the only thing that was important, we'd all be telling Rodney Dangerfield jokes, right? Like, that's you can't.
Kind of my point.
I know you're right. Making the audience laugh isn't the only thing that's important. I believe you have to have your morals. You have to have a code of ethics when it comes to how you approach the art form of comedy. But that's what I mean by getting better. I mean, I don't mean, yes, we're gauging it on the audience's laughter. That's true. But
Sure.
but the art form itself, like the creation of, like, what we do essentially as comedians is we create spontaneous joy in other people that's uncontrollable. We make them laugh without any control. Like, they can't help themselves.
Well, my point is, like, essentially, like, my point is, like, look at Louis C.K. He's one of, if not best comedians out today, right?
Yeah.
But he spent 25 years doing the grind, just doing the regular, like, oh, my wife's a handle and this is blah, blah, blah kind of jokes. And it wasn't until he got real that he got blown up. When he got real and he was like, oh, I hate my fucking kids, but I love them. It's crazy.
No,
You
I
know,
think
that's when he blew up, was when he got real.
You have a little bit more freedom when you do blow up, and sometimes you do have to play the game. Like,
yes.
there's a joke that I've been telling about panic attacks, and if I go, I'll be like, oh, does anyone have panic attacks? And if I say, oh yeah, all the white people, I always get just so many laughs.
Yeah.
And that's all, and it's not even a punchline, but people go for those laughs. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go for those laughs. I want them.
People want to connect. That's what they really want. They want to connect with you. And if you're being authentically yourself, but in the funniest way that you can, I'm not saying you have to be honest all the time. Like, tell a story, the twist, the punchline might not be true, but if it's authentically you and it's authentically your story and it's authentically something that that they can relate to or they believe you, that's what they want. So yeah, they want authenticity, but of course they also want to laugh. So
well, yeah, it's because everybody's crazy. At the end of the day, everybody's crazy, and we don't want to believe we're the only ones. So as soon as somebody gets on stage and starts talking crazy in the microphone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I feel like that sometimes too," then all of a sudden it's identifiable.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to be respectful of our producer's time. It is 8 o'clock, so I want to get the blame game, and then we'll let you promote anything. And then Terry Wayne, you can have your words for white people.
All right, let's do
words for white people. Sorry. I think I'm just gonna switch the blame game up because I want to be kind of quick about it. So you have some of the best hair in South Florida, Nick. Who's to blame?
I'm not. Who's to blame for my hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take the hat off, man. Like,
show my.
Yeah, look at this.
He's working all day.
Look at this mane. Look at this goddamn mane.
So this is who's to blame for my hair. I'm gonna yeah, it's been like messed up all day. It's not at its peak premium. Who's to blame for my hair? I'm gonna say my mom is to blame for my hair. She's got pretty good hair, and she's probably the reason I've kept it this long.
Okay, I got a different one for you. You didn't start comedy until what, 35?
I was 37 when I started.
37. All right. I didn't start comedy until I was 30. And when I started it, I felt like I was way behind the curve, right? I felt like everybody that started at 20 or 21 or whatever, 22, they had this big jump on me. So who's to blame for pushing out the old folks that don't start till their 30s?
Terry, that is not how this works. You don't get to make up a blame game while
I didn't make it. I had it prepped.
You made up your own blame.
I got it written down right here.
Told me this before. We'll have Nick back, and you
got it written down right here.
I'll tell you what.
Blame on this ageism in comedy.
I don't know about ageism in comedy. I see some very successful older comics out there doing their thing, working hard. I don't buy ageism in comedy. I think and also I know my perspective is skewed because of the way that I run my shows. I don't favor anyone. I just want to see good comedy. I want to see funny. If you're funny and original, that's all I care about. when I book my shows. So I have a more idealistic sense about this whole thing. And I've created that for myself. I'm not going to blame anybody for ageism in comedy or sexism in comedy or racism in comedy. Like there's an easy answer to it, but the bottom line is like, if you are funny, I believe that you will be successful. If you work hard at it, I believe you will be successul. Some people always want to point at like, well, this group gets more opportunities or
Like,
that group.
Topic that we could
You know, like people.
Can we agree on the fact that you're less marketable if you're over 30?
You are less marketable, maybe. But you know what? If you're funnier than everybody who's under 30, you're still going to get fucking booked. Like it pushes.
Fair enough.
Here's the reason I like it. It pushes me to be better because all I am is a middle-aged straight white guy. Now I have long hair and I know that maybe sets me apart a little bit, but the bottom line is like, there's nothing really that special about me until I get on stage. And that's when I need to be special. Like that's
until you tell your jokes. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's
all right. Do you have anything you would like to promote before we move on to Terry Lane's Words for White People?
God, I feel like I've already promoted everything that I'm doing. Thank you guys for letting me talk about. I talked about the Key West show. I give a shout out to Red Light for booking me as a headliner. Nelijah is running a great show at Gadsby's that I'm headlining March 3rd. I'm very excited about that room. Go check out Elijah's room on Wednesday nights and
I'm there in a few weeks.
Fridays. And I'm going to be this Friday. I'm going back to Villain Theater to roast the Super Bowl, the actual event itself. Anastasia is putting on this event. We are roasting the Super Bowl. And I think I'm specifically going to try to roast the sports betting aspects of the Super Bowl. So if you guys have any input, by all means, Terry especially, hit me up because
I just do the football cards every year for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Anything you got, I'm going to roast it.
That's good. I'll be there with Nick at Villain Theater. It sounds like we'll be at different times, but it's in Miami. If you're out there, come out. All right. I'm going to turn my camera off and run to the bathroom while Terry Lane starts his Words for White People. Go ahead.
Oh, goodness gracious. Now it's all on me. First of all, I'd like to thank Nick for being here, especially since I inadvertently bailed on his podcast. That's my apologies again. I just want to make that public. I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional.
Good.
He's been a great guest. I don't want you to feel like I'm coming at you. I just like getting people's real opinions about things. So I feel like asking real questions.
Right.
Not to put you like this ain't CNN. It doesn't matter. But this week, the Words for White People is all about unity. Because that's all I've been hearing ever since January 6th is unity, 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 unity. Mm-hmm. And I've been waiting for the right. I've been waiting for the right to do what's right. And all I'm seeing lately is the right just talking about what can you do for us. Well, you had power. You had all power for a lot of years, and you didn't do shit with it, okay? So I'm done with the unity thing. I'm done with the let's work with Mitch McConnell. No, fuck Mitch McConnell, all right? Because if Mitch McConnell had anything to do with unity, Merrick Garland would be on the Supreme Court, but he isn't because he blocked him because he's not about unity, all right? Stop trying to make friends with the snake, okay? Because the snake is always going to bite you at the end. Do you know why? Because it's a snake. That's why. So stop with that bullshit. You've got all the power in the world for the next 2 years. Get your money, son. Like Wu-Tang said, protect your neck and get out there and get it. Stop trying to work with these motherfuckers. They're not going to do it. They're going to get what they can get from you for the next 2 years while you have power. And then when they get power, historically, they'll get power back within 2 years. they're going to just block you on everything again. They'll filibuster to the fucking end of the world to stop you from doing anything. So guess what? Get out there. Get it. Get yours. All right? Because now's the time. It's not time to be like, oh, we're going to be the nice guys. No, get out there, protect your neck, and get your shit. Because you got 2 years and the clock's running.
All right. Those are some words, white people.
That's for the white Democrats. That's specifically put out there for the white Democrats. Okay. That's and you know what? Go on top of it. Just make a trans woman fucking Secretary of State just to fuck with them. I don't care anymore.
You don't even care about her qualifications. I mean, Trump did.
No, I don't even give a shit anymore. No.
Fuck the entire GOP.
Hey, they ran the gambit for years and years. Now it's your turn. So go get it.
So, all right, guys, it's been fun. I don't want to hold up Brad any longer. Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and commenting. And thank you.
And Nick, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. It was great to see you guys. I hope to see you again soon. And we'll be
come out this Friday if you're in Miami. We'll both.
Come
maybe we can convince Terry and Dom. I'm trying to get Dom down there.
Oh man, I gotta get up there and see Dom.
I ain't going nowhere. COVID's still a thing.
Still sucks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys.
All right. Thanks. See you guys later.